Hey, everybody, welcome back for another episode of The Overlay, a poker podcast brought to you by CCG Poker and Paramount Social Club. Beautiful Houston, Texas. How's it going today, Brando?
Oh, it's going pretty good.
It's our first ever, and it's not for us, but it's for the listeners. It's our first ever medium cliffhanger episode, which was cool because part one was last week. Episode 56, the previous episode, is Brandon's WSOP Main Event Run Part 1, and then this is the Main Event Run Part 2. So we're going to dive right into it. We're not going to jerk around or anything. We're going to get right back into the story. So if you haven't listened to the previous episode, this is one of the very few episodes where you can't just listen willy-nilly. People are always like, oh, you're already on episode 57? Like, do I have to start all the way at 1? And I was like, no, you can kind of pick and none of the episodes really go together unless it literally says part 2, in which case you should listen to part 1 first. But if it says, poker math, that's its own episode, different from...
It's like watching the Black Mirror on Netflix.
Yeah, the episodes don't go together. You want. However, spoiler alert, if you haven't listened to episode 56, you should stop the tape right now and go listen to 56, because that's going to be the beginning of the WSOP and how Brandon got there and day one. And I promise you, the last 30 minutes of day one might be some of Poker Go missed out on not getting you. You literally won the last 4 hands of day one.
Yeah.
In a row.
All of them.
That's sick. I didn't even, I know we just talked about it like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, no, because I was actually looking back in the group chat and I was talking to Ryan earlier today, and he's like, yeah, you never really let us know how you, after you doubled up to 25K, like how you just got to 50K.
Well,
all it says is I went on a nice little run to end the day, 55K.
Yeah, that does not give it credit. You literally won 4 hands in a row. That's amazing. I think it's awesome. Check out last week's episode 56. But let's just roll right into it. So you bagged day one, 55K. So you bagged 55,000. You go home, you're exhausted, you just played poker for 12 hours. What was it like? It was,
mentally,
where were you at? Physically, where were you at? Like how was it in that sense?
I did just drive 24 hours the previous day. So
right.
That kind of caught up with me.
Okay.
And then I did go to the win after day one and got in a short little PLO session because,
why not?
Nothing says I'm a DGen like needing to play some 1-2 PLO after a 12-hour day of the 10K main event.
12 hours and 15 minute. Yeah. No, that sounds great. That's what most normal people would say. That's a good idea.
Right. So, I played for an hour. I did get to sleep by like 3:15. I'm on Vegas time, so I lost 2 hours. I was a little bit drained, but I did go to sleep and get a solid 7 hours. I woke up at like 10.
Okay.
Restart was at 11. So I got a solid 7 hours, which is good enough for me to kind of reset. And, I use my stupid sleeping machine, and that thing makes me sleep like a baby. So woke up at 10, showered. I was pretty excited. I did have a rental car. So I just walked to valet, scanned my card. They had it in 5 minutes, drive on over to the back of Rio, park. And I'm in the Amazon room in 15 minutes from when I walk out of my room at the Wynn.
Nice.
So, leaving at like 10:40 really, it gave me enough time. So that was very nice. I didn't have to Uber. I didn't have to, I just got in my car, drove, and I learned the route. It's literally 2 turns. GPS took me to the front, and then I learned how to just go to the back without and going a different way.
Ooh, did you park by Daniel Negreanu's trailer?
I did.
Nice. Awesome.
I did. So day 2, 55K in the bag.
And you made it for the start of day 2. Like you didn't pull the standard poker player coming in late. Like you rolled in a little early.
No, I was there early because I didn't really know how the restart happened. Yeah. Again, I didn't really. You get your seating assignments. It's actually really efficient the way they do it. They give you a slip that you write your name and your amount on, and it has a new seat table for you. So your table is drawn for you as you're bagging up on day 1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's very efficient. So you know right where you're going to be.
So you know where you're going.
Yeah, you know where you're going, and they know where you're going, and you literally the sheet that you're filling out at the end of day one tells you your table number for day two. So I stroll on in. I'm in a different room this time. I'm in like the pavilion room, which is not the main room. The Amazon room is kind of the. Also, I will say one quick thing. I was in the 7 seat all the way back facing the double doors out to the hallways.
Mm-hmm.
So I could not see the madness going on behind me and how many tables were running. And it kind of kept me like grounded. Like, everyone always tells you, it's like the only thing you can control in the main event is your stack and the 8 players around you with what's going on in other tables, the chip leaders, how much average stack is. Like, none of that really matters.
Right.
Like, what matters is your stack and your table, and don't really worry about anything else.
You're talking about
like day one.
Yeah, the ability to
the
focus.
Door,
yeah.
Like facing the door and being in the back corner.
Yeah.
Like actually really kind of helped
sheltered
me. I had
you
no
a
idea
bit.
what was going on.
Right.
Tables were breaking all day behind me, and I have no idea. It's kind of like you stay focused. Anyways, day two, I'm in a different room, and I'm kind of towards the back, and I see that the break order is our black pavilion area is first. So immediately I sit down. Ice Haze does some reporting, does some, looking up on Hendon Mob. Due to my direct right, had 2.5 million, and nobody else really had much. So I'm, kind of weary of the guy on my right, and that's kind of it. And then I see that we're only going to be at our table for like a level, because I was maybe the 20th table to break in the whole tournament.
Nice.
So, yeah. So, anyways, sit down with 55K. I'm going to kind of jump right in. Blind should be 300, 600 at this point. And I got 55K, so that's what, 90-something big blinds? Plenty. Cruising. Nothing to be worried about too much. And then, feeling out the table for the first hour, I did pick up the blinds a few times. Now, the guy in the 5 seat, I was in the 3 seat. Guy in the 5 seat, Ice Haze labeled as kind of the spot of the table, the one that he compared him to like $120 CCG deep stack player, which, no offense to any of you guys, but those are the people you kind of want to be playing labeled against in the 10K tournament.
Right.
Somebody that plays
not comfortable, and again, it has nothing to do with maybe skill, but like they're just not comfortable playing. I would be comfortable playing a $10,000 tournament.
When their average buy-in is $365, and they're playing event ones at circuits,
right? These
are the kind of guys you kind of want to be facing.
You can push around a little bit,
yeah,
right.
And I would consider myself kind of in that same exact area,
for sure.
But everybody that Hendon mobs me and sees I have 5 caches, 4 of them being PLO, they're probably like, this guy stinks at Hold'em, and they're kind of right.
Yep.
And they're really happy to see me at their table. Anyways, I remember picking up the blinds, getting comfortable. Table was playing kind of tight. I was weary of the guy on my right because he had 2.5 million, and that's all the really information I had. Now the 5 seat did end up kind of tilting, and he ended up going right into it. I opened the button with ace jack suited, and he had already gone from maybe like 100K down to 25K. And I opened to something like 1,400, blinds are 366, and he ripped like 22K, which is 10, 20, like 30 something bigs, still kind of a lot, but like it was just the fact that he was tilting. He lost the pots previously. Like you can see it in his demeanor that he was, steamed up. I was like, I'm taking this spot. Like I'm calling 22K here of my 60K with ace jack of clubs on the button to his big blind shove. And I call, and he had king jack, and I held. So I won my first 70-30.
Wow, nice.
And that was kind of that gets me up to 75K, and blinds are still 3-6. And I knew somebody was getting that last 30 bigs from that guy, and I was just kind of glad it was me. And I was worried. I remember worrying about the table breaking before that guy tilted it off, and man, I got it. So score one for the good guys there. Yeah, open button, and the blinds rips 22K. I call. He had king jack. I held. So then I remember chipping up another pot. I did flop an open ender and then turned the open ender and got some chips there. So I remember being at about 95K, like the first level of day 2. And now I was kind of thinking, well, not only did I make it
just to back up here for a second, you went from 30 minutes left of day 1 to playing 30 minutes of day 1, the remainder 30 minutes, and then 2 hours of day 2, and you've gone from, what was your shortest, 10,000?
Yeah, 10K to 90K.
Jesus. All right.
So now, going. And I mean, now, the whole playing short stack, navigating around, like all that kind of opened up. Because now I got 150 bigs, and now I can basically do whatever I want. I made it to that stage for the first time since like starting stack when I, level 2 when I had 70K. So, I called a raise here. Let me get this hand here. Call and open with ace jack of spades. It goes 3 ways. Flop is 10-6-3, 2 spades. I remember the opener being pretty tight. I do remember me being in position. I did not 3-bet with the ace jack of spades. I'm still playing kind of careful, tiptoeing around. I'm still playing pretty snug, guys. I mean, you've heard every hand that we've been talking about. It's been, ace something suited or a pocket pair. And that's kind of what I've been doing. 10-6-3, couple spades. The guy continues. I call. Girl in the blinds that just moved to our table. She calls. So we go 3 ways to the turn, and it's a 9 on the turn. So 10-6-3, spade, club. Turn is the 9 of clubs. So, a weird 8-7 straight gutter ball gets there, but whatever. Obviously not too worried about that.
Not too much, yeah.
Maybe the blind girl, not the blind girl, the girl in the blinds, that 9 helped, but probably doesn't help him and didn't help me. He bet 7,200 on the turn, which I would say is about, there's maybe like 18 to 20K-ish in the pot. I call the 7,200 with 2 overcards and a nut spade draw. She calls behind with God knows what she has. And so now we're going to the river with, 40K in the pot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting kind of serious here. River is the 8 of spades, bringing 4 to a straight. A 7 is now a straight. More importantly, giving me the nut flush.
Nice.
Only losing to whatever a straight flush would be. 9, 7 of spades, whatever. That isn't possible. So it goes check. I bet 22K on the river, and they both folded. And I picked up that pot, bringing me to about 120K.
Wow.
So yeah, now we've really done well. This first level was one of my 2 really good levels of the day.
So even after the first level, you go to that first break, you've gone up. Now you're at 120K.
So I basically doubled up, by winning kind of smaller pots. But yeah, I basically doubled up again. So now I'm at 100K, 125K. Now I did get in ace king of hearts all in pre-flop against queens. That was for about 22K again to 25K. I did lose that race.
What did the other player have? Queens?
Yeah, the other player had queens. I just lost the race. So I was back down to 100. That kind of grounded me a little bit. I was like, okay, like this isn't going to be the crazy sun run where I just win every pot. You know? Can't win them all.
You're not Chris Moneymaker.
Nope. Not Chris Moneymaker, who, by the way, I did have a nice little 2-minute chat with when we were both in the cafe before day 3. He was sitting there. He had like 700 pounds. No, yeah, I just told him, I was like, hey, man, like it's pretty sweet because he was on the featured table all day too. I was like, it's pretty sweet that you spun up another stack. I was like, I just want to let you know that like when me and my boys were 13 years old, like we watched you play.
You're kind of the reason we play poker.
You're kind of the reason why we all started. And he's like, oh man, I really appreciate that. Like, and then he asked me if I was playing the main. I said, yeah, I'm still in. He's like, well, good luck, dude. And it was just a little. I didn't want to, bother him. He was watching like footage, like you can tell he was like kind of studying, and I didn't know whether to be like the annoying guy who talks to him all the time. But I was like, you know what? We're sitting here alone. It's before the tournament even started. Like, I just figured, and we talked for literally a minute or less. But it was kind of nice to, I feel like he felt appreciative. Like, I'm a 31-year-old man. Like, when I was 13. I watched you ship it and got us into poker. So, anyways, I do at this point move to a new table. And I remember breaks, they moved me to the front of the pavilion room. So I'm not in the Amazon room where I'm going to end up, but I am towards the front of the pavilion. So I have a while before we're going to break. I have Ice Haze look up the table that I was at, but it was kind of tough because some people busted out. So you had to kind of figure out who was there from the start. Guy to my right's name's Pat Lyons. Everybody needs to look up this man. He is the absolute biggest character I've ever played with or met in my entire life. He's like, yeah, I'm the world famous Pat Lyons. Like, you know me. Come on. I'm Pat Lyons. He's like an Irishman wearing all 3 of his circuit rings and his WSOP.
That's great.
Bracelet on his wrist, wearing 8 other rings, 5 other bracelets, wearing a Looney Tunes shirt. I mean, you guys think of like an old school like Marcel Luce, if you remember that guy who wore his sunglasses upside down, kind of a goofball, would sing at the table, super loud. So everybody needs to Google. He was actually banned for like going crazy on some dealers when he was on some back medication, and he was banned for 3 years. Then he got unbanned and then won a bracelet. There's a poker news article about him. There's also a little Jeff Platt interview for Poker Go, which I'll put up on the CCG Twitter and the Overlay Twitter, where during the interview, he plays a hand dark. And he's the tightest guy ever. I mean, literally a rock. Plays a hand dark in the middle of the interview, ends up calling it all in dark. He has 5-4 clubs. The guy has ace-10. The ace-10 flops straight, and he goes runner, flush.
Jeez.
Live during the interview. He's like, see, guys, can't beat me. I'm the world famous Pat Lyons. Anyways, Lyons with a Lyons.
I looked him up. He's got 1.75 lifetime earnings.
And he's like, if I make the final table, I guarantee I win it. I was like, I'm so good at this game. He's like, I'm going to go to the sports book, get 9-1 on them, and put $500,000 on myself to win this thing. He's like, and I'll win it too. It's like, I will. And I'm just like, wow, you're the cockiest guy ever. Anyways, character. Play with him. Don't know anybody else. Chilling. 100K. Go to dinner break. End up coming back 15 minutes late from dinner break because I did drive and have dinner at the Wynn. And I was 15 minutes late. I did miss an orbit. And I was like, what am I doing? How am I not on time for these things? It's day 2 of the main event. I got 100,000. I can't even make it on time. Anyways, miss an orbit. I'm chilling between literally 80 and 110K. Nothing to note for a solid 2.5 hours. So now we're in the last level of day 2. And the table breaks into us, and we're about to break. We're the last row of 5 tables. They were breaking the tables 5 at a time into the Amazon room. So like the whole, all 5 tables would walk over into the Amazon room at once. We're in the last group. We're the last 4 tables in the entire room in the main event. There's another tournament going on elsewhere. So the last 4 tables, this Asian dude with 600,000, maybe more, sits down at the table. And firsthand, he kind of ruins me. Kind of ruins me with the 6-4 offsuit. He 3-bet. I called. I flopped a pair that had a 6 on the flop. Turn was a 6. He just fires the turn, fires the river. I call him off with like top pair, top kicker, or king jack maybe, and he just has 6-4 off. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of how it's going to be, huh? Like, so I got down to 90K, and then I had ace queen versus the same guy's queen 8 in a 3-bet pot, and he flopped a spade draw. He rivered an 8, won the pot, kind of went check on the river, and then I opened 9s, and shorty calls, and it was a king deuce flop, and I bet down, and he just snap ripped it. I'm king deuce. I folded 9s, so I'm sitting at about 90K. Then I get some fireworks.
Nice.
So here's one of my crucial hands of the whole tournament. Two of my crucial hands of the whole tournament coming up right here. So the table's about to break. It's after dinner break. We're in like the second to last level, maybe even the last level of the night. Another new guy at the table sits down. I don't know much about him. He raises to 2,500. I call with pocket sevens. Small blind call, big blind call. And I want to say, for reference, the blinds are 6-12. Just out of my guess, based on the guy opening to 2,500, blinds are probably 6-12. So, we go 4 ways to the flop. I have the black sevens in my hand, and it comes a 7-5-3, 2 hearts. So 7-5-3, 2 hearts. I flop top set. I'm like, holy smokes! Nobody ever has 6-4 here. Like, this is amazing.
Nobody has 6-4.
What'd you say?
No, nothing. I was just repeating.
Nobody has 6-4 here. So this isn't Omaha where you flop top set and you're worried about straights.
I have a hard time getting out of Omaha thinking, but go ahead.
Yeah, I finally got out of it. So it goes check from the blinds. The opener bets 3,300. The guy that opened. I smooth call in position. I think I was actually on the button. Call 3,300. The one blind folds, and then the second blind ships it for 20K, all in. And at this time, I'm like kind of getting a little nervous. I'm like, oh God. Then the opener flats the 20K, and it's back to me. So I'm like, obviously I'm never folding, but I'm like, what in the world do I do here? There's 15K in the pot, and then 2 guys have put in 20,000. I am sitting on 100K stack. No, about 95K to start the hand. And I put 2,500 in and then 3,300 in. So I got about, 85 behind me, and I have to decide what to do here. And
you've got top set.
I got top set. And the one guy from the blind shipped it. Now the opener called. So what I'm worried about from the opener is, obviously I want him to have aces, kings, queens, jacks. Right. That's what I want him to have.
For sure.
What I don't want him to have is ace, king, ace, queen of hearts.
Right.
Which kind of felt like that's what he had. Right? I mean, what does he really have?
And what are the odds if you've got a set with 2 cards to come and you're fighting a flush? Fighting a flush.
I am in position. Now I was putting the blind guy that shoved on like a pair and a gutter, like the 6-5 or the 7-6 or the 5-4. The one pair plus gutter hand that he's just going with. And even if the opener has kings, he's not in bad shape. He's got 12 ounce against it. That's kind of what I'm putting him on. I'm worried about the opener, and I go in the tank for like maybe a minute and a half, and I'm like, well, I guess it's just smooth. What I was thinking in my head is, what do I do when a heart comes on the turn and this guy bets the turn? And this is where I'm in like Omaha mode, like.
Right. What am I going to do here?
What am I going to do on the turn when I flat and now there's 70,000 in the pot and I have 60,000 behind and this guy bets the turn when a bad card comes? And I'm like, you know what? I'm probably gonna bitch out and fold, is what I thought in my head. And I don't want to fold when I have this much equity in this hand. So I just decided to shove all in.
And kind of like one of your favorite things to say, they can't outplay you if you go all in.
It is, and it's true. And like,
I know we joke about it, but that's kind of that's literally that's kind of the spot where you're like,
and I hate to say it, and I always like make fun of people that say this when they're doing it, but they're like, I'm just happy with the way the pot is. I'm happy to win what's in the middle.
Right.
Like, part of me was just like kind of happy to just take down that 50K pot, not be at risk, and be at 140,000 if I win. Like that kind of. And I know like pros, and I talked to Jordan afterwards, and especially Jordan, like they're just going to smooth call and take off a card here and try and stack the rest of that guy off.
Right.
Like on all the turns. Well, he ends up folding. I
was going to say, maybe he fires another bet on the turn. If he checks, you bet.
If he has aces and the turn comes a 3, well, now it's 7-5-3-3. Like, he's going to bet. Like, he beats everything now.
He thinks he's good. Yeah.
Right. So it was kind of a risk to reward spot. And I kind of bitched out.
You took the easier. Yeah, you took the less risky spot, which is okay. No wrong with that.
And it's weird to say I'm all in and I took the less riskier spot.
I know.
It
is weird to say that.
Outplayed. I didn't want to get outplayed and have to make big folds. And like, you know, and I kind of was happy. So I shove. The guy's already all in. Goes back to the original opener who flatted the 20K. He like instantly folds. Shows pocket sixes. 7-5-3. Shows sixes. And immediately I was like, God, sixes? That's pretty fishy.
Mm-hmm.
Like to call the 20,000 with sixes. And what does the big blind have? He's got the 10-9 of hearts. I got to fade a freaking flush draw anyways. Now you ready for the run out? So 7-5-3.
Your head's up. You flop top set. 2 hearts to the board. Obviously some straighty cards. What's the other guy have?
10-9 of hearts.
Ugh.
Kind of not the hand I want him to see.
No.
Want him to flip over. Turn 3. Full house. Turn him dead.
Dude,
GG.
Just threes are the best. You love threes.
Ready for the river, Kenny?
Mm-hmm.
It's a 6. It's a 6.
Oh, no. I do remember you telling me this hand now. I forgot where the story went.
If you think about it, the turn's a 3. He's checking pocket sixes on the turn. I'm 100% checking my nut full house.
Not full house. Thank you. It's not the actual nuts, but you're not worried about pocket threes in that fucking hand.
Nope.
And again, in all honesty, if you get knocked out of the main event tournament on day 2,
with
top set, and the guy's got the last 2 cards in the deck to beat you, amen. God bless you, brother. I'm going out.
Correct. Absolutely. I'll be very happy to say, hey, I lost nut boat against quads. What are you going to do? So Rivers is 6, and it would have went check on the turn, and guaranteed the guy would have rivered 6s full on the river, and I would have gotten a full double.
And you would have stacked him off.
I mean, he would have had chips left, but it would have been a full double to over 200K. And now I'm just like, oh my God, and this Pat Lyon guy's like next to me. He's like, give me your hand, man. I'm flattening there all day. And I was like, easy for you to say when the turn's a freaking 3 and the river's a 6.
Right. What do you do when the turn's a heart?
The jack of hearts.
Right.
Like, you know, it's obviously it's so much hindsight that like I was trying not to get upset about it, but like,
or what if
obviously
or a queen?
I take the option and then the run out is perfect for me, and I would have full doubled.
Right.
But after that being said, I got 150,000.
Nice.
After I win the pot, and another knockout, and
you don't get any points for knockouts.
Yep. So now the crazy Asian dude comes to the table with 400,000, raises the first 3 hand. I have king, queen. I call his raise. Queen 6-5. He bets. I call. Turn 6. He bets. I call. River deuce. He hammers 25,000. I put in a crying call, and he shows the 6-4 offsuit. So that was when I had this. I had the top pair with the king kicker, and he just went crazy with 6-4. So immediately I'm like, well, this is the guy we need to get. So now that put me back to 110K. Still chilling, but a little bit annoyed that I should have had could have played a hand differently to have over 200. Missed out on that.
Don't say should have, because you're right. That's not the correct way to say it.
I played it just fine, but like, so now I'm back to 110K. We're chilling. Everything's fine. 600, 1,200, lost 45K on that hand. Back to 110K. Then I don't know what happened here, but I just say back to 140K. So I must have just like taken down a couple small ones and, won a pot. Nothing to note of, but back to 140K. So now this is where Fedor Holtz makes his way to my table. Table breaks, and Fedor Holtz sitting in the 5 seat. And now I'm like, oh, sweet. Yeah, here's the first pro I get to play with. Just the greatest crusher of all time, basically. Mm-hmm. And, now you got Jeff Platt interviewing him, and we got a Fedor Holtz sighting in the main event. I guess he direct bought into day 2, so he was only like 4 hours into his main. So finally the media caught up with him. They actually had they took a break.
When you say direct buy into day 2, you just come in a day 1, register, and then just don't play, or?
No, there was 2 levels of day 2 you could have registered.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, so you could direct buy into day 2. So registration was still open until dinner break, day 2.
Wow. Same deal.
Which 10, the blinds were 500, 1,000, and you get 60K. So you're regging with 60 bigs.
For the average person, that's a lot, but I get it. People want the day 1 experience. But all right, go ahead.
For sure, I get both sides. If I'm playing the day 1. If I'm Fedor Holtz and I just flew over from Germany and I got 100 million in my bank account, I probably ain't playing day 1.
Yeah, skip it.
So, anyways, play with him for a little bit. And, they interviewed him, and there's cameras at our table, and you got Pat Lyons, and, they're talking about Pat Lyons, of course, I'm world famous. He's like, oh, we should make this the featured table. We got me and Fedor, just cocky as can be. So I do lose a pot here, blind versus blind. Ace 6-9. I have ace 6. Check.
Ace 6-9.
Yep, and I have ace 6, top and bottom. Pretty good flop for me.
Bottom.
Blind versus blind.
Pretty good.
Check. Turns a 10. And it goes, I bet. He raises. I call. River is a wet napkin deuce.
Wet napkin.
I bet the river. He jams. I call. Not loving my call after he's jamming on the river here. I mean, I can't really fold.
No.
So, I value bet ace 6 on the river. He jams. He had 8-7, turned a straight. So, yeah. So he flopped an open under. Wasn't going anywhere if I bet the flop.
No, and he got there in the turns. It's the reversal of what you talked about earlier, where you were like, "Oh, if I'd have just flatted, I'd have got this guy's whole stack."
Never. Yeah,
there's just no way you're getting out of that hand. There's no choice where you're like, "Do I play this safe or do I play this risky?" I mean, you just played it. He hit on the turn. It is what it is. Like, you just lose that hand.
Yep. So funny preface to the second. Now the pocket sevens hand was obviously my biggest hand in the tournament to date. This next hand, the hand before the hand I'm about to tell you, the guy to my left, which is the 1 seat, because I'm in the 9 seat, picked up jacks, lost a pot with jacks, and is complaining about jacks, and literally the whole table is talking about jacks, and jacks.
And guess what Brando has?
Next hand, I'm under the gun, and I pick up jacks. And I was like, God, this dealer just didn't
Is there a worse position to get jacks than under the gun? I mean, I know that's the worst position, but I just don't. I feel like if under the gun, like a premium hand that's at the very bottom of your premium hand range, that's the nut sweet spot is right there. It's like they're too good to fold and not do anything, but you really don't want to do it. Anyways, that's like the worst spot to be in. Get jacks under the gun, fire away.
So here we go. We get, I obviously open. I think blinds are still 6-12. I make it like my standard 25, 26, 27, whatever. Everybody's making it, the standard open. And player calls in like the 3 or 4 seat. And then the Asian guy who was playing kind of crazy and had all the chips and gutted me with the 6-4 off, he comes along out of the big blind. So we go 3 ways to the flop, and we get the Jack 4-4 flop. And we just flop a full house.
Jack 4. Yeah. Woo.
Jack 4-4. And I'm sitting in my head like fireworks are going off. And I'm just like, pew, 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 pew. Everyone's talking about jacks. Literally, Pat Lyons to my right's like, oh, you needed that flop with jacks.
Right. And you're trying to keep a straight face while you're looking at fucking jacks in your hand. Like, that's, it's so hard.
It is. And it's just like, how does this happen? So now I would say 26. So that's what? There's about 9K in the pot. And I made it 26. I bet I just lead on first act. Jack 4-4, 2,100 from Brando. Just nice and small. Gonna just try and be balanced there, which I guess I would be doing the same thing with Ace King and high cards and Jack 4-4, just hoping it just goes muck and I take it down. Just trying to play it like it is balanced and as normal and as how could I ever have Jack here as possible. And it goes call, raise from the Asian guy, makes it like 11,000. Again, my effective stack's 110K here. So now I'm like, well, what do I do here? I'm like, well, what would I do with aces? What would I do with ace king? What would I do with probably my entire range? Besides, if I'm going to continue with it, I'm going to call, right? Mm-hmm. Never going to put in a 4 bet on the flop when it's Jack 4-4, playing with somebody out of the blinds, and the most likely player at the table to have a 4 is this Asian guy. So I flat, then the other guy folds, and we go to a turn. I'm sorry, I wasn't first to lead. The Asian guy did check the flop because he was out of the big blind. So he checked, I bet. Third player called, he raised, he check raised, I call, other guy folds. So I put in 11,300. I remember the exact amount because I was like, I'm doubling up this hand. Is when he raised, I'm like, I'm doubling up. Is like literally what I thought in my head. So the turn comes a brick, a 3 to be exact. Jack 4-4, turn 3. I remember thinking in my head, I'm like, dude, just no 4. Like, just don't put a 4. Anything but a 4. And he bets.
If the poker gods are listening, just no 4.
So there's maybe 30K in the pot now because there was 9 and then we both put in 11. Mm-hmm. Oh, plus the guy's 3. So there's maybe 35 in the K, 35K in the pot. He bets 25K on the river. On the turn, I'm sorry. 25K. So I think about it, and I think about it, and I think about it. And I call. And then the river is a beautiful king, which in my mind is a good card for him to continue bluffing on. Now he's going to try and get me off a jack. Like, overall, I'm just, high cards are solid. He never has pocket kings. Not worried about that. So now there's 35K plus 50K. There's 85K in there. I maybe have 85K behind. He just takes a big plop of 25K chips and plops it in there. All in. Obviously, I snap call, push my chips in as fast as I possibly can. He shows queen 4 for trip 4s, the queen kicker. He actually had a 4, queen 4 spades. I flip over jacks, full double up, and I have over $250,000.
Wow.
250K at 612. So now I have 200 bigs, and I'm officially back. And
how far into day 2 is this? This is near the end of the day, or
this is the second to last level.
Okay, so you're almost done for the day. You've been playing all day long.
Yep.
This for the second day in a row.
Yep.
Nice.
This is after dinner break. It's the level after dinner break, and a lot happens. All this happens in this level. Where the 7-5 hand happens in this level. The crazy Asian guy gutting me with 6-4 happens in this level. Then I get the full double, and now I'm like, holy shit! Kind of in my head, I'm like, definitely making day 3. Definitely got chips. I mean, 250,000 at 612 is 210 big blinds. I mean, like, this is stuff you like dream about. This is like cash game stacks now. So the Asian guy starts absolutely tilting. He still has like 300,000. He still has more than me. I'm on cloud 9. Couldn't be happier. And he's on full steam whistle. Like, couldn't try and recoup those 200,000 he just lost back quick enough. And like, that's just the absolute wrong mentality in this game. In this tournament, there's just, you're way fine, buddy. You got 250 bigs. You don't need to go on tilt. Maria Ho said it. You make chips so you can lose big pots and still be
in the tournament. Yep.
He was way in the tournament, still way above average. Probably the biggest chip stack in those 5 tables that we had. Anyways, about 10 hands goes by. He's raising every hand. He's tilting. He doubles another shorty up. King, queen to ace, king. He doubles Fedor up on 9s versus 4s. He just doubling people up, and it's like Santa Claus on Christmas morning. Just, you get a present. You get a present. Here you go. Freaking Oprah giving everyone cars.
Right. Everybody's going to town here.
And yeah, I mean, it's just like literally kind of like looking to the people around, and they're like, holy smokes. Then they break our table. We're done. And I'm like, no. Everyone's like, no. So now they move us into the Amazon room. And I remember there was about 10 minutes left in this 612 level, which was a great level for me. I move into the Amazon room. I'm in line. They move us. We had to put our masks on while we're in the hallways, yada, yada, yada. Now, no masks in the actual poker playing rooms, but in the Rio hallways. And when you're on break, mandatory masks, mask police everywhere, threatening to get kicked out of the tournament if you don't have it on. So it was kind of a weird thing to like be coming out of the
to like go back and forth
with everybody that doesn't have it on and have to slap it on. And then by now I have like Allison's mask that has makeup all over it. And this is what I'm digging out of my pocket that has dirty $100 bills to like wear. And, politics aside, like I wish you didn't have to like keep going on and off and on and off and like wearing dirty masks. And I felt more dirty wearing the mask than without it. Right. But anyways, whatever. Rules are rules. I get it. Whatever. The fact that we got to even play without them as the only place in Vegas without them was great. Move into line to get to the TD to like give us a new seat card in the Amazon room, which is filled to the brim, every table full now because it's been full all day, but I was in the other room, so I didn't know it. They give the two guys in front of me the featured table on Poker Go with Chris Moneymaker. Both guys from my table in front of me get that table. And then I just get a random table right in the middle of the room. Bright lights, action everywhere. I mean, now I was kind of like not nervous, but I'm like, holy smokes. Like, so this is what it's like to play like right in the middle of the main event. Right. Now the madness is real. Like there's cameras, there's interviews, now you see all the pros that are like, I sit, my new table is Liv Beret. She's right to my right. She's like the only woman to win like a WSOP bracelet and an EPT. She's like pretty much a top 5 woman player directly to my right. There's poker news reporters always by her, getting down every hand. So now, like, this was the time where it kind of felt real. Like, it took almost 2 days of play and me to go on a wild roller coaster ride from 70 my first hand down to 10, spinning it up to 250. And now I'm kind of like, well, this is kind of what the main event feels like.
Right. And this is the end of day 2.
This is the last level of day 2.
Okay.
So I'm looking at this table.
And you're sitting next to Liv Beret, which is kind of.
She's in the 19, I'm in the 1 seat. So the dealer was in the way. But She was very cordial.
Nice.
Nice to everybody. And now I'm kind of realizing that, like, 4 of these people are having deeper conversations about their kids and her experience during COVID, and Igor, who's a crusher, who is her boyfriend, and what they did during the quarantine. And they all kind of like know her, and not like know her like I was like, what's up, Liv? I've read about you. Like, know her like, oh, right. Yeah, like we
like
played
has
together
her cell phone number, knows her.
Yes, like they have her cell phone number. Like, and then instantly I'm like, oh, geez, these guys are all just good. Like, like these guys are all just, they're in this, this group of, it's like the PLO players at TCG. They all know each other, and right. It kind of felt like I was an outsider, which was fine. There was, it wasn't only me, but I kind of generally labeled everybody here as everybody kind of knew what they were doing. And this is the first time I kind of felt like I might have been the worst player at the table.
Not a great feeling.
Nope. And then the blinds went up and, everybody's fighting and 3-betting and showing down garbage and what is going on here. I kind of felt lost, and I was kind of looking at the clock and I'm like, God, get me out of this day. Like, I was sitting at like 200, between 250 and 210 because the blinds are 816 now. So, you a raise is 3,400 and then you bet the flop and it's another 3,000. So you losing 10K is not significant anymore. We're to that point of the tournament where 10 to 20K swings happen whenever you go through the blinds and you defend.
Right.
Liv got a courtesy double up on Jack 10, 9, 2 hearts. A guy had Jack 9. She had the King, Queen of hearts. Flopped the nut straight with a royal draw. Guy got in top and bottom pair for heaps. And I'm like, oh, this is what it's like to be a pro, huh? It's like,
game's easy.
Yep, game's easy. So now one hand that I did play in this last hour, this guy was kind of short and I picked up 10s and Liv Beret opened and I just called the 10s because she was in early position and I was in early position and I have no idea what I'm doing. And I was kind of just treating 7, 8, 9, 10s as set minors. Like I was kind of folding 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s because they're just so weak. And I was playing like 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, but like not playing 10s how Dan Grinding would play 10s, like a good pair. Playing 10s like, well, if I need this flop to have a 10 in it or be 8-4 deuce for me to continue. And I do call, and then another guy calls, and then the smaller big blind, I'm trying to figure out what it is, the small or the big blind, ends up 3-betting, and this kind of looked like a squeezy 3-bet and kind of looked a little bit weak, but I do remember him playing pretty tight.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little bit weary, but I think 10s are too strong to fold. I really don't know. This is kind of where we're getting to the point of like where we're hundreds and something big blinds deep and this kind of stuff's happening. I don't have the experience to like know what's right or wrong, what the solvers say, what you're supposed to do with these middle to good.
We don't
10s.
play in tournaments where you have 100 big blinds and you're not even in the money yet. Like that ain't a thing, you know?
No, not only that, like I don't play in tournaments.
Right.
Period.
Well, that too.
Yeah. So, I'm really, I haven't studied a Hold'em tournament spot in 7 years, guys. So like for you Texas guys and people like, I mean, like, sure, I know how to play hands and I know what's going on, but like, these are the exact spots where I really don't know. And as the main event progresses, these spots happen more and more and more and more. So he was squeezing and I didn't want to just pile in 100,000 with 10s because that felt bad, but like folding feels bad, but like calling feels bad. Like everything felt wrong.
Yeah.
Like, when I rip here with 10s, he just shows up.
The suspense is killing me. What did you do?
I called.
Oh, nice.
2, 3, 4 flop. He rips his last 50,000. I'm like, well, I didn't call 40,000.
I'm in this far.
Hold on 2, 3, 4. I call. He has queens.
You have
10s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it
runs out 5, then ace. Chop it up.
No.
Yep. 2,
what
3, 4.
A sicko.
5. River ace. So now that
I just want to go on record. Did you notice there was a 3 on the board? I feel like, Brandon, you should have gotten your money in every single time you saw a 3. Like if you're at table 3, jam it in. Third seat, jam it in. 3 comes on the board, jam it in. You look down at the first cards of 3, jam it in. 3s, jam it in. Twice. Stick it in twice.
We did get lucky there, to say the least, for, 33% of my chips saved.
Yeah.
The guy snapped a picture and instantly went on his phone. And he's like, this is the way I'm riding.
He's a massive tilt.
Yeah.
It is what it
is.
This
is maybe with a half hour. And I'm trying to look at our group chat here to see if I had any more hands on day 2, but I think I kind of just finished off the night playing tight.
I was gonna say after that you're probably like, I just dodged my major bullet for the day. I'm just gonna chill out. No need to get back in the line of fire here. I
did last I'll make it a quick one. I did open the king queen and there was an Indian kid who took shrooms and literally was
I remember you texting us a picture like, this guy is so high.
Yep. And then, of course, I look him up and he's got 3 million in earnings, of course, and he's just a crusher. But like he was bluffing with 7 deuce and showing and, just like 9-4 off and blah, 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 blah. And I opened the king queen and of course it's his big blind. And he's like, well, I'm calling here. And it did come like 8 deuce deuce, like a complete brick, and it went check check, and then the turn came at 10 and he bet like almost full pot, like 19,000. I'm just like, you don't have anything here, but I don't have the nuts to just make it 50,000, so I just floated with the king queen high, like full pot on the turn. Then the river came a queen and he checks and he's like, man, you can just, I'm like sitting there and he knows I'm about to bet and I'm staring at that. He's like, you can just save us all time here, man, like you win. And he's like, don't, just get this hand over with. So I'm like, fine, whatever. I check. And he just mucks his hand. Just mucks his hand. And
nice.
So I just didn't have to show my king queen and scoop the pot.
What, are you kidding me?
Nope. He's like, he literally tells me, he's like, dude, you can just save us all, man. Like, you win. Like, just check. You win. I check. He mucks.
What a sick play. Just check. You win. Okay, what? And the best part is, if you'd have bet, he probably would have got like piss snapped all in or something, and then it's like a whole different situation. It's great. Anyways.
Yep. So then I ride that off into the sunset, bag 234K at the end of day 2.
Wow.
New table draw, bag them and tag them. Have a good night. Great day. 55K starting, 234 ending, going back to day 3, brand new table draw. Here we go.
I'm going to have to stop you there. I thought this was going to be a 2-part series. It is just too much Brandon information. I'm also incredibly, I can't believe you can remember all of this stuff. I know we did text a bunch and we did go back and forth, and it does kind of come back to you for sure, because your text thread and the CCG Twitter feed as well. But it's very cool to hear you go into it. So I appreciate you taking the time. Folks, hit us up again later. I'm gonna release these as quickly as possible so you guys don't have to sweat it too terribly long, but it is kind of fun. Everybody loves a good cliffhanger. Make sure you check us out for next week, episode 58. Day 3.
We're ripping through
of the main event Brando challenge. Let's see where he ends up. Thanks for listening. Catch us on Twitter at the Overlay Pod, and see us in Chicago or Texas. I'll be in Texas a couple times in December, and I might even make Brandon come with me one time just to say hi to everybody. So, stay tuned. We'll see you guys soon.